my first guest. Oscar Benavides is an architect and interior design and urban planning professional with over 13 years of experience in a portfolio of over 100 projects. He is a specialist in quality control, project management, sustainability, waterfront development, urban planning, green development, and design, as well as a modular and prefabricated systems of construction. He is the president and CEO of his company, Invision Design and Development. Oscar, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit more about yourself and your background of yourself and the company.
Well, I graduated at the University of Kentucky. I travel a lot and worked in different countries. I'm not licensed in the U.S. as an architect or interior designer.
Okay.
I do have my business and run it with other licensed.
Now, your undergrad's in architecture, and I was looking through your resume. I mean, it's quite extensive. I mean, you've been involved in businesses all across the planet here. I mean, looking at you're involved at Pentacad, Centro Integral de Servicios. Where was that? You're from Venezuela, correct?
Yeah, I was born in Venezuela. I graduated from UK and University of Kentucky, and went back to Venezuela, where I opened my own firm there. I also became a professor at the university level for 5 years.
Oh, interesting. And I see you're involved at that job with 3D modeling. That's an interesting.
That's correct.
Talk to me a little bit about 3D modeling.
Well, 3D modeling is the best way to represent a building, and that allows you to give the clients a clear representation of what they want. You'll be able to see proportions, colors, materials, and it has become a key factor in the process of a sale of a project or investment on a project.
Is that something that your company specializes in today? Are you able to do that for clients?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
We do that all the time. We do renderings, videos. We edit it in a way so you can actually get the product out there.
Okay, and you were also involved with many oceanfront design projects as well, correct?
That's correct. Once I came back to Tampa from Venezuela, I started working with engineers, and after I was very familiar with structures, I decided to look for what's the hardest next step, and it was designing waterfront, since you have to deal with different codes of FEMA, very specific structure types.
Now, are you involved in any waterfront projects in the Tampa Bay region right now, or have you designed any in this particular region?
Well, right now I work also for DLW Architects. We do hotels there, and there's a few projects that I'm involved with waterfront hotels. Okay.
Any that you can talk about right now, give any names or anything, or no?
I'm not
still in the design phase, and
yes, we are.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, that's kind of off the cuff comment there. But to me, an architect, it's like an artist. There's a style and a motivation behind all your designs and ideas. Do you have a signature style that you like to kind of work around?
Well, I don't believe in what we call isms, which are postmodernism, modernism. I believe that each project has a necessity in design and style. You can't do a postmodern building on an area where you have to deal with historical preservation.
Okay.
So there is an identity of the building that needs to be created based on the site conditions, the client's expectations, and some kind of essence of the project.
Okay. Hold that thought. I got to take a quick break to hear from some of our sponsors, but coming back from the break, we're going to be talking a little bit more with Oscar about the design process and what it takes to kind of bring one of these buildings together, in the Tampa Bay region. If you're just tuning in, you've been listening to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 WINS WHNZ. Back in a moment. And, Oscar, tell me, actually Stella Giudicelli, she's joined us live in studio. She's also a contributor here to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. You had a question for Oscar that you were talking about off the air. Go ahead and bring that to the floor here.
Yes, Jamie, thank you. As you were talking, Oscar, I was wondering, and I think that's a question that our listeners may have. So I understand you've been working on hotels projects and by the water as well. What other projects would you work on to? Would you, design and build a home for an individual or family?
Yes, I do a lot of commercial and custom homes, renovations, additions. Basically, we target all types of markets,
Okay.
but mostly in this region.
So when you say we,
My team of people.
your team of people. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Now, let's talk a little bit about how a design project comes together. First, what is the structure and role of the major players in a building design? Who are the different players that come together to put these things together?
Well, every project has a different team. Okay, it depends on the scale, the size of the project. We get different, professionals involved. Definitely, we need the client, and we have the design team. With the design team, we also have consulting engineering, which we'll talk about the structures, all the different services that they need. After that, basically, we jump into another phase where we put things together and we do construction documents.
Now, who is the inspiration behind the buildings? Is that generally a general contractor that gets an idea put together? As the architect? You had mentioned to me before the show that a certain a person had put together a design that is being talked about for possibly down in downtown Tampa now. It was just talk to me a little bit more about that.
That's right. Well, basically the creative in the whole thing is the architect, whether it's from a site or a conceptual project or from a client. To mention that project in downtown Tampa, it was a collaboration of this architect from Argentina that he had a concept that he wanted Tampa to look big, and he decided to do this building.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see some more development in downtown Tampa, and we were talking about that off the air there about that Tampa is just kind of it's a big city with kind of a small town feel, and it's ripe for development, and we would love to see a lot more activity down there. What's your take on that?
I agree. Once I came to Tampa about 10 years ago, I saw the potential that actually Tampa has everything that is needed to become a big city. We have beautiful waterfronts. We have the port. We have, busch gardens. That we have all kinds of entertainment. We actually host most of the large entertainments in U.S. So there's a lot of potential for Tampa Bay to become a true icon of U.S.
Yeah, what is it do you think that holds Tampa back from becoming a more major metro than it already is? I mean, Tampa is a big city as it is, but it's more of Tampa Bay you think of as the major metro. Tampa itself is kind of not as major as a lot of the cities.
I must agree with you. I think it's planning. There's been some conflict with planning and long-term studies of where the city should go and focus, and having the right team of people working on it and keep the same pattern and not changing it back and forth like this has happened before.
Now, in the design process, obviously you got to deal with the city and county officials, and what's it like dealing with them? I mean, what are the different phases of development? I mean, you have the zoning board, the planning board. How does all that fit together? I mean,
that depends on the project. If we're talking about doing a large suburb project, we have to deal with EPC, we have to deal with the county, zoning, planning, and all these different agencies. So what we do, we kind of project sort of like prototypes, and we show them, and we kind of work back and forth, and what will work, what won't work, what kind of zoning we need, what kind of changes that we need to have, and that's how actually it's actually it's a process.
So I guess the first step in the process is probably to put together a feasibility study.
Well, that's part of it. Yeah, when we get a client that he wants to buy a large piece of land and he has a large project he wants to do, we do a feasibility project. We work with his financial people, with his team. Usually they come with a team, and we work with them, and we kind of foresee what route we should take. Okay,
and then you produce the renderings and a market package, and this is all stuff that your company does as well, correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. Now, you're also involved in interior design, and you had mentioned how you can help real estate professionals with just their everyday buyers. Tell me a little bit about this.
Well, I see a niche to work with realtors, and I'll give you an example. Say that you have a large office building, and you need some kind of space planning or because you're targeting in a specific market. Say that you're targeting a medical office. Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, the building has to have a build-out to according to the medical office needs. So it's quite different than a lawyer's office. So we can help with that. Same thing with in the residential area. Say that you have a large home that you want to sell, and the client likes the house but doesn't really feel comfortable with certain aspects of the house, and it needs some changes. So we're able to do those changes.
Yeah, you had mentioned to me it's something I had never thought of. And when you work with a buyer that's looking to build a new home, to involve an architect, it's not something that I would think of. You just I just think of going to the new home builder and picking a few options. Tell me a little bit more about your services with that.
There's being this thought that architects are only for certain market, a high-end market, and in reality, if you look at the cost of an architect compared to what you pay for your house, it's actually a pretty decent thing to do to have your custom home made as you want it.
Yeah, you were saying you could finance just the cost of your consulting fee, I guess, into the design and overall cost, and then mortgage that, and then it adds, a negligible amount to the amount.
That's correct. So at the end, you end up paying little money a month for your dream home.
And is that something that you see a lot of people taking advantage of, or is that something that you're trying to develop within your company?
That's what we're trying to develop. That's why we're kind of looking at working with realtors and banking and those kind of members of the community, so we can expose this possibility now for homeowners.
Okay. And what do you enjoy more? Do you like working with interior design or the architecture more, or is there kind of a little bit of both?
It's all about passion. It's all about getting things out there and making people happy and comfortable and having the right space to work with. And it doesn't matter if it's interior or actually a building.
Right. Now, you also work with one of my contributors, Impoluto Pristine Services. She was on my show last week, quite an entertaining show, by the way. But my good friend, Esther Gutierrez, what is your role with Impoluto Pristine Services?
Well, actually, we kind of doing a partnership to impulse this kind of projects, working with realtors and giving the services pre, during, and post sale of a property.
Okay. And you can also find Impoluto Pristine Services. They are an expert contributor to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. You'll find them on my website. Oscar, real quick before we hit another break here, how can people get in touch with you off air?
Well, they can get in touch with me through the internet, and I think you have a link to my site.
It'll be up on my show as the past guests and everything. Yeah. And what's the phone number that people can reach at?
813-334-9946.
And one more time for the audience.
813-334-9946.
And the services go through again how you can help. You're talking about realtors that are working with home buyers, and you can help them customize new homes, and you can also help commercial realtors as well with their development projects and their build outs as well. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Any other services you should touch on before?
Well, we will offer a turnkey project. We have our team of contractors, and we will offer in a really good price. And like I said, we will put our efforts to get a great project out. All
right, sounds good. And if you didn't get his contact information, you can find him on my website here. I'll have him up on the Tampa Bay Radio site under the past guests in the Get Help section, again, of TampaBayRadio.com. If you're just tuning in, you've been listening to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins, WHNZ. Coming back from the break, we're going to be talking with Patty O'Leary, CEO of the Children's Cancer Center. So please stay tuned. Back in a moment.